Serdagogs88 for the 12-month tier 1 sub.
Hello!
So I saved the laundry. So it's not like super wet or anything like that, which is a good thing. I only have... Hang on a second. Did I leave a... No, I didn't leave a window open. It just decides to... Alright, cool. Ding. Alright. Hopefully so. Alright. Fuck it. Let's move over to this window here. Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome. Sir Dragon, thank you so much for being first into the stream and for resubbing. Also, why is my eyes doing a fun little... No, okay, no, you're good. You're fine. You're fine. Thank you so much for resubbing. It's been for like now the last year. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh, wait, did the redeem thingamajiggy work? Yes, it did. Cool. Awesome. So, sorry, I just had to, like, double-check about that little thingamadiggy there. But yeah, hi, everyone. Welcome. Hopefully you're all having a wonderful Wednesday, wherever you are. Morning, afternoon, night. My Wednesday, I didn't have to go into the office today, because I organized time out, like, you know, to not be in the office. I got myself some personal/sick leave, so I can talk to my dietitian about how I've been going with, like, losing weight and what have you, and so far it has been going fairly okay. Like if we go back to like the 13th for instance or something, like, because like I've basically been on the shakes for close to a month now and I've lost like 10 kilograms, so they think that I am doing a fairly good job there. Yes. And when it comes to going to the grocery stores, Hi there, Jason. Not to the grocery store, sorry. When it comes to going to the United States in December, because I'll have been on the shake diet for like 2 months, a little bit, like a little over 2 months perhaps, it will be like so long as I get back into the shake diet, like I can have a break. I can actually have a break during the 2 weeks that I'm in the United States and what have you, which is fan-fucking-tastic. So I'll be able to like eat whatever it is that I feel like wanting to have when I'm over in the United States, and then when I come back from the United States, I can be back on the shake diet for like 3 months, so... Yay! I'm able to, like, take that as a proper break and such. I honestly feel like the shake diet is one of those ones where it's like, they advise to you 3 months, but if you've got the weight, you could probably go on for fucking forever until it gets down to, like, a thing. Which, granted, probably won't be the best course of action, because, you know, if the only way that I'm able to sustain my weight below, like, X amount or something like that, it means then that I am stuck, you know, being on the shake diet for however long, which I'm not really enthusiastic about. So hence why I'm like really curious, like, how is my 2 weeks in the United States gonna go? Because it is gonna be a very snacky kind of United States visit, because, you know, it's gonna be going off during Christmas, having like a, you know, a very healthy breakfast, because my grandfather and my mom are all about that. Lunch times are either gonna be like, you know, modest affairs over in at home, or we're gonna go out to eat. We're most likely gonna go out to eat on the evenings. So, and those ones are always gonna be like we're going to go to a restaurant or something like that. So that, or, you know, a big dinner. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that one goes along. So yeah. Hopefully more people will be coming along and what have you. I've been seeing like a number of people like getting a little bit sort of turned around by the just by like there's something about like the spring slash transition into summer, like even though it's like, you know, spring summer, like going through like November, like I think because of like, you know, shit from, you know, 2 weeks ago, like a week or two ago, some people are just, you know, feeling absolutely downtrodden. I know I know I can be a tiny little bit here and there, but I try not to have it weigh me down too much. And what's more is I try not to have like whatever it is that's going on stream be the thing as well. Yeah, because like last time I streamed back on Monday, I was like under like 10 people watching me and such like that, which was kind of like a first for a while for me, for like a planned stream at the very least, especially since I had like a stream on Sunday with like Black Ops, which was really popular, and so I did have like the regular peeps, which I appreciate. I'm very thankful, because like Sir Dragon, Masonic. Oh, hello there, Simone. Welcome. A new person. Hi. I hope you're doing all right. Welcome. I'm just starting my stream. Name's Grant. Hi. So yeah, so I try not to like think too negatively. I try not to get like my head stuck into, because like this is very much a hobby thing for me still. Purple. Yep. Oh my goodness. What is Wild Saber just dropping some fucking lore on me? Why, Saber? We weren't even anywhere near the conversation about dinosaurs or Conan the Barbarian. They're technically dragons. Was in a book by the original author, was technically fighting a stegosaurus that could breathe fire. They found a sorceress resurrected the dinosaur with magic from fossils. God, could you imagine if like what if dinosaurs still existed at a time when we had like fantasy nonsense of like, oh, it's a dragon and it's doing disruption to Camelot. Like, imagine if that wasn't a dragon, but was like actually a dinosaur, like a Triceratops or something. I hope you're having a great night. I'm having a fairly alright night. I've caught up on League of Legends Arcane, so I'm good for Season 2, Part 2. How dare you flew the Kenku Bard for stealing my shirt. So, I'm up to date with that one. So, like, Season 2, Part 2, I'm going to be ready for. I'm done with the first season of Penguin. Holy shit, Penguin is an asshole. Should have known that. Good work, HBO. I'm going to be real with you, though, HBO. The Penguin, when you get rid of the fact that, you know, it's within the universe of the... Thank you for the Hyper Himbo Sage. I do appreciate it, though. When you get rid of the part of, like, the Penguin being in the Batman universe or what have you... Nope. Yeah. There we go. When you get rid of the part that Penguin is in the Batman universe and, like, you know, the key names like Gotham, the Penguin is just a fucking mafia, character. So for HBO to do a mafia TV show is not that hard for them, quite frankly. They've done it in Sopranos. They've done it for Boardwalk Empire. I think they're the ones involved for Boardwalk Empire. Point is, HBO went back into their element rather than, like, continuing on with the fantasy shit. Because even their fantasy shit is very fucking tame, because it's always a case of, like, oh, the political intrigue, the people, and it's like, the point of fantasy is that you're able to have, like, you know, give me some shit that you'd get, like, in the Orville, which is, like, some really good social commentary that could only have been accomplished with, like, the wildness of fantasy or sci-fi by making it something that's, like, a lot more apparent or abrupt into the day-to-day. The bad guy is a bad guy? Yes. The Penguin is a bad guy. We didn't go through some sort of fucking redemption arc like with Agatha all along, or any of the Marvel shit. We actually had a bad guy that retained being a bad guy. The Penguin may be a min boss, but they are horrifyingly horrible. Yes, they are. I won't explain too much in case people don't want spoilers about the Penguin, but, like, DC material goes pretty well outside of their films. Their films are hit and miss, but to be fair, Marvel films are now hit and miss as well, so who knows? Maybe James Gunn, when they start releasing some of the films they have in the boiler and like in the kitchen and what have you, they'll get some really good stuff. But the TV shows, the cartoons from DC, they're normally hitting better than Marvel, and I very much like that. The Conan TV show and movie are good examples of fantasy done right without political intrigue. Ooh, interesting. Although I'm not interested in the Conan MMO, I'm gonna be real with you. The Conan MMO felt like it was, oh, an open world survival crafter with a mix, and it's just sort of like, no thanks. I've gone through Minecraft, I've gone through Terraria, I've gone through Valheim, I've gone through so many different things where a friend has been like, hey, let's play this, and it ends up being like an open world survival crafter. I know everyone's going through, like, you know, Once Human or Ambioc Factor, which are open world survival crafters. V Rising is an open world survival crafter. You are thinking Conan Exiles. You're talking about Conan Unchained. Wait, there's two different ones? Hang on. Conan Exiles is a survival game, and then you got Conan Unchained. Oh, there is a difference. Ignore the thunder in the background. I don't exactly have a good way of controlling that. Apparently I can get Apparently I can get Conan Exiles. It's been on my Game Pass since June 3rd, 2021. One person has recommended this game. Have they now? Praise Crom. Oh, it's done by Yislith. Nice. And then there's Age of Conan Unchained, which recently is positive and overall is mixed. Dated and bugs galore. Oh, okay, so not positive as in, like, actual, like, reviewer positive, but you like Terraria? Look, no, I like Terraria too, don't get me wrong, but in the same vein that I do not take people, like, in the same vein as, like, you know, the indie genre is not a guarantee, the open world survival crafter is not a guarantee either. It is a very quick sort of genre to create, I find, and because of the successes of Terraria and Minecraft, early access games that, you know, regularly gave you new content drops and what have you until they did a full-on release, in which case they upped their prices because it's full price, because, you know, it is Subnautica and what have you. Like, there are good open-world survival crafters out there. The problem is that there were so fucking many of them out in the world that you are really digging for it. This is the problem that I have when, like, people complain about, like, the AAA industry, and they're like, oh, they should look to the indie scene. Like, why can't they be more like the indie scene? And it's like, that's not a fair assessment. That's like, like, take for example, like, let's say you're going into a city with no franchises in it or what have you. Now, sure, you're gonna find a gem among them, and it's probably gonna be like competitively priced because it's trying to deal with like every other area that's trying to, do cheap foods and what have you. But here's the problem with that analogy, and which plays into with the indie titles and what have you. You're gonna pick one, and the vast majority of people who pick one are not gonna pick anything else, okay? They're gonna pick one, and they're gonna be like, oh, street food is the best. Those that are connoisseurs and will, like, try out other street foods, they're the ones that are getting food poisoning and such, and they're gonna figure out, like, which ones are good street foods and which ones are bad. It is a very terrible time. It's like differentiating thrift stores and department stores. One, you know what's in there, and the other is a roulette shoot. Yes, exactly. Thrift stores and department stores. There's definitely a difference. Technically, Conan Exiles is equal to Conan Unchained, the MMO. Also, beware, Zeebs. The Steam release for Unchained does not work. The game has to be downloaded for free from the Funcom side. Ah, no, fair enough. I try to avoid getting MMOs from Steam. Like, the only one I think that's in my library is, like, Once Human. But other than that, like, everything else I've, like, avoided, running and installing, like, MMOs. Like, so, for example, the one that I go through a lot, the critically acclaimed MMORPG, Final Fantasy XIV, featuring a free trial, that one I'm going through Square Enix and such like that, because apparently if you got it through Steam, you have to buy the subscription through Steam as well. You can't just, update your like, account so that it's, a direct renewal with Square Enix or anything like that. The same thing with Warframe. I tried having Warframe as, like, a Steam title, but that didn't really work out for me. And so now I just keep it as a, I have to download that and, run it separately from Steam. You're telling me you weren't always a Zeebs? You're telling me you were once human? What? When? Like, I'll be real with you, Sage. I have said that plenty of times in the past, but, like, not in this most recent stream. I'm gonna be real with you. You're gonna need to make a little more sense with me. But yeah. So video games. I very much love them and such like that, and there are problems with the AAA industry, but these are problems that we're not gonna get a simple solution to, let alone from the consumer, quite frankly, because we are absolutely terrible in terms of, like, judgment and what have you. I very much love Dragon Age Veilguard, but I know there are people that fucking hate it and do not want that kind of, like, methodology for making their games and such. Even the mere mention of humans disgusts me. Ain't I glad humans don't really exist and we're all furry scalies and traffic cones. Where? I don't see any fucking traffic. Maybe I need to put a traffic cone in the background here. Because as you can see, there isn't, like, anything new here. I might need to, like, update this. Lord knows that I should probably... If I was here for Christmas, I would most certainly do, like, some sort of Christmassy background. Hi there, Sky! Welcome to the stream! Welcome, welcome! It's been a while. Welcome back. I hope the art's going well. I highly recommend Conan Unchained. Zeep. Hot, hard, but fair. So chock full of content. You'll be on the starter island doing all the side quests. I've already gone through, like, Ark Survival Evolved or something like that. I reckon it's the same sort of thing. Besides, I have way too many things in my library. I have so many games. And the fact that I have, like, an Xbox Game Pass, the PlayStation thingy-madiggy, and then, like, my existing Steam library and some of the gift things there is not enough time in the day for me to go through all the games that I would want to. As much as I would love to make, like, video games or what have you, like an 8-hour, like, or to make, video games like an 8-hour stream affair or something like that, it's not in me for, day. Like, even today, the reason I wasn't working today is because I took time off. I took time off so then that way I can see my dietitian at 11. Who didn't see me until 11:30 because apparently, like, there was a family of 3 that was talking with them or something like that, and they were talking about something for a while. But yeah, and all that was just to be like, hey, I'm gonna go to the States in December, like, 21st/23rd. I don't want to have to carry I don't want to have to carry the sachets and all that kind of nonsense in my bags to try and, like, limit, you know, A, trouble, and B, like, carrying shit. Is there alternatives from the states you can recommend? And it's concluded with, you know, I can actually take, like, since I'll have been on the shake diet for, like, 2 months then, I can take a 2-week break while I'm in the States, which is going to be an interesting time, seeing how I do with, like, eating what I want and then when I'm eating with family. So, but hopefully in the next month, I should hopefully, like, I've lost 5 kilos in, like, the first week or something like that, which is a little bit insane. So I've lost approximately 5 kilos the following 3 weeks. So with luck, I should hopefully get down to, like, 25 or less kilos by the time I go to the United States. One thing that I think would help it go quicker, however, is a walking pad, and I have it as a featured throne item. Look at that. So, here's the thing. I want to do a subathon stream or something like that with the walking pad if we get this. I want to make, like, a stream where it's me just the entire time on the walking pad, where I would, like, you know, I'd walk, or if it allows it, jog the entire time. I have a camera, like, I have a spare camera right over, if it shows it. Nope, it doesn't show it. I have a camera right down there. If it will point in the right direction. Hang on a second. I'm gonna have to zoom in. Ding. Come on. Camera controls. There we go. Zoom in. And then pan. There we go. Look at that. There's a camera there. Right there. Hi, chat. So yeah, so I can be like, you know, it goes all the way over here, and then there's, like, you know. So yeah, so I can have this camera. Also, because it's USB-C and I have a long enough USB-C cable, this camera is definitely going to be useful in, you know, putting this in whatever angle. I can, like, literally pick it up and all that kind of nonsense. So I could put it as, like, you know, some sort of nonsense. So I'm going to have you at -70, and let's zoom you. Oh, okay. Feet. So yeah, so the camera would definitely be something during the marathon subathon, but in order to get that marathon subathon, I'm gonna need that treadmill that you see, like, right up there. I've put in a little bit of money myself. I might put in a little bit. We're mobile. So yeah, it's like this ultra wide camera, so you can, like, so it's technically like 3 cameras. So if I zoom out, like, it's like this super wide shot, like, and, like, look at this. This is the cable for the hand tracking here, and, like, this is how close my hands are to my chest when I do the, like, anywho's. Yeah. So we got a wide camera. I can move that, like, somewhere else around this room because it's got, like, you know... Ow! Hi there, Phantom. Welcome to the stream. Once again, clipping me without changing the title. Oh, wow. Damn, that's some distance. Yeah, it's a pretty decent distance. So, okay, I don't know why, but the Jabbercast... There we go. Hi there, Pico de Trap. Donkey. I'm a horse. There's no donkey here. I am a zebra horse. But yeah, so check out my throne. I have on there the walking pad. It's able to hold my weight and such like that. And if we get it, you can guarantee that I'm gonna be using it, and I'm gonna set up a subathon marathon stream because I can walk like 3-ish. I can walk like 3-ish kilometers in half an hour. So maybe I'll do like a 5-kilometer thing on stream, and then I'll have incentives. So, like, depending on the subs or the bits, we extend the amount of time that I need to be walking, and then when there's overall things, like, you know, overall goals met, then I will use those overall I will use those overall goals for like doing reveals, so, or like, you know, special thingy-madiggies, such as like, you know, maybe I'll walk barefoot for a period of time on the treadmill. Have the camera adjusted so that it reveals a little bit more of myself, and wear my fursuit head. That'd be really, really fun. Thank you, Sage. I'm glad you think so. But none of that can be done if I do not have the walking pad. So while I'm trying my best to, like, you know, not be in financial ruin, you know, and down here in Australia paying, like, you know, fees, rent, and bills and what have you, I've got the treadmill thing on the throne. So then that way all of you can contribute to it. So yeah, how am I doing, Phantom? I'm doing alright. I am doing fairly good. I had a talk with my dietitian today. I caught up on the Penguin. Had just, you know, snuck a view or two at different streams. It was a very dull day for me, which I kind of liked. You found a person who is a horse artist. Ooh. Like, real horses or persona horses? Okay, quick something's, hot cocoa, hot cider, or eggnog person. Hot cocoa. Eggnog, no thanks. Hot cider, no. You're gonna, like, there needs to be flavor. And hot cocoa is a good flavor. Alright? Chocolate sugars. That's what it is for me. Look at what I said further back. What? Hang on. I missed what Sky said. Oh, I had to scrap the art piece because I kept making the mouth look like a donkey mouth and a zebra mouth. It drove me nuts. I'll be doing you for the 12 days of cozy. Oh, not to worry. I'll be real with you. It's kind of... I am very curious what your sketches would have looked like with me with a donkey mouth, because, like... as Pico de Trap will note, zebra... Because I see what they're going with the zonky or the donkey. Zebras are technically under the donkey, genus? I think it's genus. Hang on a second. I'm gonna have to open up my Opera GX. Hang on a second. One moment. I'm gonna need a double check. OC, horse. You're gonna commission her later on your OCs. Her OC is a draft horse. Oh, nice. Hot cocoa with milk or water? Milk. You do it with milk. Alright, so. GrantZeebs. Fun fact, chat. There is a thing called GrantZeebs. That's, look at that. That's fucking me right there. GrantZeebs. I don't think any of you have got to your persona as a fucking species. I didn't have to do fucking shit for that one. Alright, so the GrantZeebs is an Equus quagga bohmi, is the smallest of the 7 subspecies of the plain zebra. This subspecies represents the femur form of the Serengeti Mara ecosystem and across and others across Central Africa. So, genus Equus, family Equidae, order Perissodactyli. So, yeah, is the taxidermy family of like horses and shit. And then E is like the thingy. Equus, hang on. How many is Equus? Includes horses, asses, and zebras. Within the Equus is the only recognized extant genus comprising 7 living species. Like Equade and more broadly, Equus has several extinct species. Okay, so Equade. And so then in the Equade, we've got... So in that order, in that family, so we got a subfamily. A lot of these are equine, equini, equana. So we got a subtribe of equana. And then the next... Nope, okay, that looks like to be the last. So... Equanae is a subfamily known for the hemidophoran stage of the early... They originated in North America before dispersing to every continent except Australia and Antarctica. They are thought to be monophyletic grouping. Equini is the only living tribe of the subfamily Equanae, which has lived worldwide, except Australia, since the... something or rather. Wow, Australia doesn't have horses, I see. So, for whatever reason, Australia, no horses. Bam. Scroll back up to the top. But yeah, zebra. Look at that. Zeebs is canonically and scientifically short. No, I'm just the smallest. I'm just the smallest of 7. I can be big for the small species. There's tall zebras out there. So there's 3 kinds of zebras. There's Grevy's zebras, plain zebras, and mountain zebras. The plain zebra has like a much smoother sort of hairstyle. The mountain zebra has like a cooler looking hairdo. I'm gonna be real with you. So yeah. So close to pony horse. Not pony horse. Don't be ridiculous. Is that why you're named Grant? No. Honestly, Grant was just a name. I just pulled that name out of a fucking randomizer, quite frankly. It's just a coinky-dink that there is Grant's zebra in this, like, fucking, like, you know, encyclopedia of animals, and I'm very fortunate that way. Yours is a specific idic species of isopod, just not the same name. Ah. Unless I change my name to Lava Flow, that is. Also, hi there, Sir Dragon. Zebras are donkeys. Zebras are clearly horses. They are African equines. They are, with their distinct black and white stripes, they are similar to donkeys and horses, but they're their own fucking thing. How dare you? Who says the randomizer wasn't hit with the Apollo dodgeball atom? Who knows? It could have been like a random like wave particle through like, you know, through space and shit. Like that's a thing. Okay, I know you guys think I'm being facetious, but Izzy is onto something. There is a world record speed run in Super Mario on the Nintendo 64, and there was a glitch that happened and people were unable to replicate it until it became apparent that the reason why it happened was because of a random fucking solar, like, cosmic radiation thing that changed one particular bit or something like that, and it allowed the glitch to happen. It was fucking fantastic. Also, hi there, Izzy the Fat Cat. Welcome to the stream. Can we get a shout out for Izzy, please? Oh my gosh, Izzy. I wish I could zoom in on this one, but imagine the classic, like, zooming in thingy-majiggy, okay? Izzy. I didn't know you had one of those, like, growth drive, comics. I didn't know you did one of those. I didn't know you did one of those, and I found it through, like, just, you know, the random browsing at nighttime on the internet kind of time, where it's just like, Izzy, the Fat Cat, weight drive. And I was just like, Ayo? And I think the thought I had was just like, I saw the tag, like the boobs tag, the ones that I liked, and I was just like, neurons are firing here, and I went even further. Gonna keep warm as I head to bed. Darn you, friendly pylon, for stealing my shirt, but do your best in saying you've been around a block for a decade now. You've done a handful of things. I'm gonna be real, Izzy. I didn't recognize your game until now. I really appreciate that after all these years, I'm catching on to more artists. I absolutely appreciate the work you do. It's amazing. I'm pretty sure you're on my wall. Like, hang on a second, like... Yeah, like right fucking there. That's you. That's you drawing me, right? You know how to do muscle. You have the whole comic on if you care about it. I think I only saw like 1 or 2 images because I will like. Unfortunately, I kind of go through like E621, so like let me just go to itch.io really quickly, okay? Hang on a second. Itch.io, Izzy the Fat Cat. Let's see. Izzy Fat Cat. Yep, there it is. Play termination. Do it again too. Food for thought. Where is it? Where is it? Just slamming the desk. Where is it? E62. Also, you might need to fix your Blue Sky link. It isn't working. Oh, wait. Unable to resolve handle. The fuck? Hang on. Ding dong. Is he why? What? Why didn't it? What? Control F, control, like, that's... Okay, Blue Sky, you need to fix your things. For whatever reason, you're not letting me get to Izzy's Blue Sky, like, directly. So, yeah. Hey, Azeebs, how you doing today? I'm doing alright, Big DJ. How are you? But yeah, hang on a second. Izzy Fat Cat. There's all, like, right at the get-go. Oh my god, you did Nisha most recently. But yeah, a lot of these are way back when. But yeah, anyway, there was like a weight gain drive or something like that from like 2022. Good stuff. Nice work. It's always great seeing artists when they do, like, you know, full-on, like, color jobs and what have you. It's amazing. To be honest, Grant isn't as much muscle as he is pecs. What the fuck you talking about, Sage? Look at these muscles. Look at this. And this. Look at that. And that. Fucking, wait, dabbing. Come on, dab. Dab. Why aren't you, there we go. Dab. Look at that! Look at fucking that! Amazing! So, fix the link. You were missing a Y in the embedded? Oh, let's double check. That was a quick and easy fix. Amazing! Oh my god, such business ethic. Yes! The link worked. Link worked. Alrighty then. Okay, I'll give you that much. I've been proven wrong. Yes, look at all this muscle. Look at this six-pack. I do have a text file, like, sitting on my computer, however, of things, like, because I want to go to Wolk again for, like, a full-on refresh of, like, not a full-on refresh, but a refresh none the same on my Zebra Persona. And there's, like, a lot of notes there, because not only has Wolk, like, you know, it's been like 4 years. Wolk has improved over that time, and there's been some desires that I want that would be really helpful.
Give me that leg, boy.
No, Kahlua. There's been like a number of like he's improved in a lot of areas, and he's got like a lot like more skill with like Vignon and shit. So I kind of want to go to him with like because I have like basically a shopping list of love what you've done with my character, these adjustments, these additions, and these add-ons. So one of them is like having way more different attires. So then that way I have a easier time, like, you know, dressing up and what have you. So yeah. I'm on E621 as well, but I don't have as many because I'm kind of glad that it's not a case of, like, if I type in GrantZeebs, like, that's nothing. Grant_Johnson. Yeah, there's, like, 7 hits for me under, like, my persona name, Grant Johnson. One of them, amazingly enough, was not my upload. Someone, like, grabbed that from, like, from Wolk's Twitter and added it to E621. So it would be cool to get more images of myself on E621 as a sort of ego boost, but it's not a huge requirement. Alrighty. Unmute this. Go back to here. Enable this. We have more of Spyro to go. I'm gonna move you guys over here. And then, thank you for the sippies, by the by, Big DJ. I appreciate it. Alright. Collect the bones, rescue 5 hummingbirds. I'm gonna leave those out. we are gonna go through the Bamboo Terrace. So yeah, you have a funny commission idea. Imagine if my horse OC along with others we know, with horse OCs looking at you saying he is so small. If you find like three or four more horse personas that are up for that, I'm gonna be real with you, I would be fine with getting that, because like I'm gonna be real with you, this zebra is 7 foot tall, but so many horse personas that I know of are doing like, you know, 10 foot plus, so there's definitely a whole slew of like horse zebra personas that are far bigger than me, like in whichever ways. There we go. So you can go for that. Speaking of weight gain, you're looking at a furry weight gain TTRPG, and you're being really snobby at it. Wait, snobby? Snobby? Is that the right word? Oh, there we go. Thank you, pandas. I see they went with cute bear pandas. Being a snob. Ah, okay. Okay, my experiences with, like, furry games is few and far apart, personally speaking. My experience with, like, fetish games, however, like, I know this is, like, I remember, like, it's tough picking a good, because you don't want a complex game, and there's, like, one game in my library called Succubus, I believe, where it's like, oh, that's kind of cool in, like, a, you know, slightly demonic thing, but it's still sexy. But the issue I have with it is that, you know, it's asking for a little bit too much brain power. It's asking me for like a little bit too much brain power for excuse me, to like play the game, aim and what have you. It's not like it's not something that, like, for example, you could throw onto a mobile phone and you would still, like, be able to play it and such. Because it's always like, oh, here's a first-person shooter with some real, like, weird fucking mechanics. Or here is a, you know, an RPG with way more mechanics than there should be. There needs to be a nice balance. Like, there needs to be a relatively good balance where, you know, the game is engaging, but, you know, it's not taking all the brain power out of you if you're just interested in the art. Like, you need to somehow, like, hit a good middle ground. There we go. One day I'll think I'll make a fun game. I remember I thought I would have the time and the energy to make games, and then I learned Flash was no longer doing game nonsense, so you'd have to go through, like, HTML5 or, like, other kinds of things. Because, like, alright, you wanna know one of the games that I would like to make? I would love to make a top-down bullet hell. You know those classic, ow, fuck you. You know those classic top-downs where it's like, you know, you pick up the, cookie for bookie, here's your cookie bookie. You know those top-down games you get where it's like it's just a bullet hell, and then you're just trying to do like a couple, and then you're like trying to dodge and do pickups and such? Like, that's the kind of game that I think would work well in, like, a fetish category and such like that. Because it mechanically makes sense. It's not a crazy kind of mechanic, and is one that, you know, it benefits from, like, you know, visuals and what have you. That would be fun, like Vampire... Yes! Oh my god, yes! Like Vampire Survivor, but maybe not explicitly like Vampire Survivor. Because that one's more like a round-based thing. I was more thinking like the Super Balloon Monkey Flash games.
The 11-month tier 1 sub.
Thank you for the 11-month tier 1 sub, Bookie. I really appreciate it. And you're on a 5-month streak. Nice work! Oh my gosh, so close to a year. Wait, what did Izzy say about the game? Personally, you're just snobby at the game because I don't think they implemented the actual weight game mechanics very well. Interesting. Hello? Alright, why is there... Oh, because I need to find the fourth one. wherever you are. Alright, here we go, here we go, here we go. Alright, cool. But yeah, balloon tower. No, not balloon tower defense. So, believe it or not, the Balloons franchise, for whatever reason, they made TD like a trade. Like they made tower defense a trademarked name, so you can't use trademark if it's not part of the Balloons tower defense series. But anyway, distracting from that, they actually created a game based on one of their units, the Super Monkey. And it's the Super Monkey that will, like, you know, it flies across the sky and will... You know what? Hang on a second. Like, let me just get the fucking, Super Monkey TD. Give me a second. Because it's featured in... So the latest... So, what is it called? It is called... Here it is. Balloons Super Monkey. Search. Crazy. Are you... No. Give me... Ninja Kiwi. Here we go. No, we don't want to play Card Storm. Just let me... Oh, yeah. Okay, don't give me the... Just give me the... Our games. Give me your Flash game. Please. I know you can give me the Flash games. Ah! Here we go. Nice cute rating. Play. Hopefully this is the game that I'm thinking of. Just... Also, is it muted? Hang on. No, it's not muted. Cool. Awesome. So, like... This is the game. This one, the top down, like just bullet hell. So like there will come a point where like you'll upgrade your monkey and what have you. So, okay, I don't have the upgrades yet. Alright, boomerangs are 200. Yep, let's do a boomerang. So yeah, this is the game. This is the game that I'm thinking of for, like, you know, if I had the time and could get to an artist to be like, hey, I have a game in mind. I just need assets. It's something of this caliber. But the problem is that, like, you know, I'm not really good at it. And then ding. Oh, damn it, I can't do... Oh, but now I can. Yeah. And then... So yeah, that's the game. So, and then they did like a Super Monkey 2, and then they did it on like mobile, with the idea being that like you can have like, there's like, you know, progression. So yeah, you're on my TV. Hi, Phantom's living room or wherever you are. You'd appreciate a lot of matrix code math to be occurring, so that you'd anticipate a lot of matrix code math for the lines of balloons to occur. I think it's just pathing. It's just spawns, pathing, and, you know, like, even if it's just like something simple, I would like to do it. All right, minimize that. Back to the actual game that we're meant to be playing. Did I... Yes, I did go around in circle, but the question remains... Wait, did they open the door for me? Is that... they probably did open the door for me, so there isn't... So I'm not actually missing another, I'm not missing another panda. Yep. Alright, I know where that is. Anyways, you're a big numbers hater in the tabletop RPG. You think a game built around number management is inherently boring and you're looking at is no exception? Yes. Look, trying to do granted, you're doing a tabletop RPG. I'm gonna be real with you. Either it's gonna be very heavy RP elements, or it's going to be. Wait, did I break it all? I can't. Oh, hello. I don't remember you being here. Nice. Okay, this is gonna help me get more eggs, isn't it?
Spyro. My friends are trying to go home
But
after a long shift
like,
in the fields.
Tabletop RPG, like the earliest tabletop RPGs were apparently ones that were like, oh, let's do some Civil War reenactments on the table, and let's deal with some standing army revolutionary style rank and file shit.
Please hop aboard. Make
Oh.
sure you would succeed. Please help us, Spyro. I'm sure you have.
Okay. No. Here we go. Oh, let me try that again. I was just being bullet helly. MATLAB is mainly used for data collection and scientific, so running any kind of game and it would simply just explode.
Please help
Yep.
us, Spyro. Please hop aboard.
They couldn't call it math. No, some people call it MATLAB. It's popular in engineering, I'll tell you that much. Oh, did I get that one? Amazing, I actually did. One less to worry about. Oh, hello. Don't you dare. Alright, so I actually have to be cautious of, bridges and what have you. At least I can shoot ahead of time. Oh, MATLAB is a mathematician company. I did not know about that one.
Please take the shiny egg.
Yeah. All right, I guess that's it. All right. Smash to the mountaintop. The fuck? Smash to the mountaintop. Okay. Oh, that's for the portal thing to the, that I probably, because I did not recognize. Okay. Thank goodness I can press. There's a tabletop RPG where numbers management can be fun, where the point is the number abuse. If you ever get to play an answer, you'd be so happy to do math crimes. Okay, interesting. I know in, would Warhammer do that? Would Warhammer do that nonsense? Because I know that, earlier editions of, the orcs or what have you were oh, their guns are useless. But if you rolled, a 6 or something like that, you had the opportunity of, shooting again within the same round because there was to be, more than one bullet or some shit. And if you rolled successfully, that additional thing happened. But if you rolled a 6 again, you had an opportunity to, like, you know, roll again. And because you had so many shooting orcs or something, I don't know. I've not played the tabletop.
If you see ladders or walls that look climbable, just jump.
Thank you, Hunter. I was kind of already aware of that one. Don't know if 40k war games count. Okay, fair enough. Because the thing is that they have, like, they're like, you know, the whole numbers management thing, but they're very small numbers as well. Okay, I say small numbers. Not like the points army thing, but more of the case of, like, the actual, like, one-on-one interaction combat stuff is just, you know, singular digits and things that fit on a D8 or a D6 something or rather. But, like, you know, points gathering and such, you go for, like, you know, larger. Alright, do not jump in the piranha-infested waters. So, but yeah, I don't play Warhammer, and knowing my friend Unnamed, if they ever hear me considering it, I would never hear the end of it. Alright, cool, so that's 1 of 4. Alright, do not go into the piranha-infested waters. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Oh, he's a giant fucking mosquito. You can't afford an army, you can barely afford a squad. Noted. Ow. Okay, I guess I didn't aim for that one properly. There we go. So yeah, no, I like, maybe if I wasn't, like, trying to pay bills and, you know, with the lack of food that I'm eating, use that as, like, you know, to try and replenish my savings and what have you, maybe I could buy a Warhammer army, but then comes the second half of making it, because apparently you gotta, like, you gotta put it together, you gotta paint it, you gotta do, and it's, like, a lot of heavy work. Like, I don't have painting materials. Who the fuck has the time to paint an army? Alright, no point to jump into the... I need to jump to that. Which... perhaps? Let's see. Does this give me the height necessary to glide over to... No, it does not. Okay. That's a giant door. I want that egg. Ding, 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 ding. It's amazing how the model industry fleeces you the whole way to counter tabletop. I think the problem is, as well, is that, like, it's not, like, coming from D&D, where it's like, oh, in Dungeons and Dragons, like, even if you're, like, moving to, like, 5th edition and shit, it's one of those, like, formats where it's like, oh, you want a character? You can just invent one. You don't need to, like, you know, do a, you don't need to, like, pay $5 for a, you know, Adventure League legal, character sheet. You don't have to pay money to it. All you need is imagination, pen and a paper. Or a PDF. There we go. Oh, it's Mendegs. Alrighty. Oh, I think I know how they want me to... Maybe. No. Okay, no, never mind. That's not high enough, so... This is definitely going to be a loop-de-loop. This is a loop-de-loop map sort of deal, I see. Hi there, Jack. Welcome to the stream.
This door is jammed shut. Only the power of gems can hope to move it.
Sure.
You've made a
Just
wise
shut up.
choice.
I love how Spyro is just so pissed off with Moneybags at this point. After going through an entire game of him being jilted, and now he's just like, oh my god, why'd you do this to me? Oh, Jack. I need to commission you. I need to commission you for one of those ice cream thingy-majiggies again, but it's not for me. It's for another person. And it's so then that way, oh dear lol. Yeah, and it's gonna be like two of them. It's gonna be like, you know, the normal one, and then it's gonna be one with like a bite on it. Like you bite their like the ear is bitten off or something like that. Alright, so fuck you, mosquito. Fuck you, mosquito. Fuck. Fucking mosquitoes. I'll send you the ref sheet. So like I tell them you do amazing work and shit.
You are brave, dragon. Much braver than I by far. Here, take this darn egg.
That is some Bayou accent right there. That is some French Cajun. Yep, just drop me the deets. Excellent. Ding. Oh, nice. Oh,
When
hello.
all lamps are lit, there is...
Ooh, okay, so I just need like one more. And then we got that there. Alright, cool. Ah, okay, I see it. I see it. Ding. There. Giant door. Alright. Ding, dong. Did I missed a thingy, I see. Dirty motherfucking money bags. Alright, and then...
The tea lamps are lit. A creepy wizard lives inside. A swore to destroy whoever lights the tea lamp.
Use the wizard bonds to defeat him. Avoid the gators. Alright, let's give it a try. I love how we just have like a fucking mini boss. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna have to aim. That's annoying. Alright, so that's one. Alright, so his thingy-majiggy is in 4. Yep, one more and he's down. So, an easy sort of. Unless he's gonna, like, give us... There we go. Herbie! So they've gone from giving us, like, old dad dragons to giving us, like, tiny baby
This swamp
dragons.
smells so sweet. The springtime trees are fragrant. I'm off to kick butt.
An Australian!
We have the bombs here. We must destroy the egg cage. But we just go boom. Kangaroo can help.
Yes, it's bombing time. Here I come, my little eggs, to free you at last.
Alrighty. Oh, okay.
Ow!
Yes.
Why are you going down there? Oh, you idiot.
Ow!
Yes.
Where the fuck are you going? No, you bastard! Ah!
Ow!
Yes.
Alrighty, kick rocks out of the way and... That worked. We love escort missions. No, we don't.
That gauge remains. If you clear my path, I can... Yes! It...
Oh, he's on a completely different path, isn't he? Oh, he is on a different path.
Ow! Yeah.
Alrighty then. Why are you like this?
Ow! Yeah.
That one was a mistake. Ah.
Ow! Yes!
I'm just not even gonna look behind him. I'm just gonna stomp out every that's in my path. Oh, there's a time. You take too long.
Ow! Yeah.
Oh, seriously? You didn't go. Oh, you went through the same one as the earlier one.
I went boom again. Yeah.
Just had to go didn't you? Couldn't just go through this normally. This is Spyro. What are you talking about? The kangaroo is so much cuter. Oh, the Australian. It's still Spyro. It's just they got side characters alongside with it.
The eggs are all free. Two.
Don't. Jump to the island, and then there's an unknown one. Yeah, and it looks like there's nothing else here except for maybe one part for the gems. Yo, Lissandra! Also, hi! It's been a long time. Welcome back. I hope you've been having a wonderful time. Welcome, welcome. How are things? We're going through Spyro. I have never played the Spyro series before, so when I learned I could play like PlayStation 4 games on the PlayStation 5, this was one of the games that I had in my library that I'm like, fuck it, we're gonna play some Spyro remakes. So yeah, PlayStation what? The PlayStation 5. So that's the console I have. PlayStation 4. You're doing well. Have been doing Final Fantasy XIV. Oh, the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, complete with a free trial, allowing you to go through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the Heavensward, the award-winning Heavensward, and award-winning Stormblood expansions up to level 70, with no restrictions on playtime. Let me climb up here. And God damn you. Alright, hang on. Now I need to go through all this all over again. Also, hi there, Jerry B. Welcome to the stream. Oh, hey, it's this level. Man, there's a lot of yellow and blue, like, usernames in my chat. If you haven't set a username color, I would highly recommend setting one. Help separate you from, like, the yellows and the blues. Because I'm pretty sure my, chat window will default to blue as well. Alrighty, there we go. Frank! You're not changing it from yellow? Fair enough. Jump to the island. Oh, yeah, that one. I think I know where that island is, so, like, it shouldn't be an impossible one to do. Thank you, phone, for reminding me. Okay, where? Ah, yeah, that's right. Dink, and then... So, the island is there. Michael! You're currently working on the Dragoon, the DNC, so Dancer, who's level 98, your Dragoon, your Monk. Nice! Interesting! I have not guided the blind dude, eh? No, have not guided the blind dude. But yeah, no, so my warrior is level 100 right now, and my tanks are all at like level 95-ish. One of the things I'm thinking of doing is getting some of the trying to get some other classes, like my ARR classes, up to like level 50 or even 60. Turns out, one of the things that was released with patch 7.1, which is available once you get to like level 50 and such, is that there's like you know those dungeon thingamadiggies, like for the like in the novice network or what have you, that were like, oh, this is how you do enmity, this is how you do X and Y. Apparently, there's a number of them that are now meant for like, you know, presenting like how, like what different like markers on the ground. Yeah, the Hall of Novice. The Hall of Novice has introduced a new ring. So if you go through the new set with the Hall of the Novice, which is meant to be showing you what like the piss color stuff during dungeons and boss stuff is, you go through that one, you get yourself a ring that will boost your XP up to level 60, which I think, personally speaking, is fucking great. That would actually be such a net positive, personally, in getting through like the ARR classes that I want. So then that way, you know, because by getting them up to level 60, it's like I can help people in either ARR or Heaven's Ward stuff. And then, you know, once I've gone through like, you know, that many different classes, I can then, you know, pick and choose. Oh. Ow, fuck you. I can then like pick and choose like what my preferred healer class is. Most likely going to be White Mage, I'm going to be real with you. And what my preferred DPS class is. I am so sorry, chat. I kind of need to go to the bathroom. I'm so sorry. I don't normally have to go to the bathroom the last few weeks because I only have a shake tied and such like that, but that's the way the cookie crumbles with me. Sometimes I do need to go to the bathroom. So, I'm going to do a little dance, and I'm going to have... So I'm going to do a little dance for you.
Spyro, the whirly gig awaits you. The sky.
All right. Excellent timing. I am going to get a BRB screen up, not the song ticker, and I'm going to get an advertisement started, so then that way I can go to the bathroom. Bathroom break BRB. No! No, 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 no! Oh. Saving $200 a month in my normal thingamadiggy, so $625. So $625 minus $200, which means that even if I get rid of only 2/3 of my, so because I think last month I spent 680 times by 0.666. Even if I only get rid of like 2/3 of my takeaway budget, then there's an additional $450 I can use into other expenses, or I can put it into saving, which means that by the time October comes along, then I would have saved for at least the $3,500 it would have cost me to do that, and that is before I get money from Twitch or from, you know, the tax return from Australia this year. So yeah, also, hi there, Butts. Welcome to the stream. Hi there, Zapper. Don't say it. Don't say it, Grant. You know what Bone wrote. You don't need to say it out loud. You don't need to say it. It's up, dog. What's up with you? Fucking try me there. Damn it, there's a Keck W in my way. Move, move, Mega. Shut up! Do we have car keys?
No, I don't think we do. I'm gonna place the camera. Yeah. And
what's my username on Twitter? It's GrantZeebs. What's my username on Telegram? GrantZeebs. What's my username on Discord? GrantZeebs. What's my username on Twitch? GrantZeebs. What's my username on YouTube? Well, YouTube is technically using a Google account in order to do that kind of nonsense, and I can't have a direct link to YouTube, but lo and behold, GrantZeebs. Says Jared just being like, hey, 14, 14, 14. Have you heard of the critically acclaimed final... Wait, hang on a second. I got the text. Hang on a second. Let me get the text. Seshare is just like tapping away and it's like, did you know the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial and includes an entirety of a Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward up to level 60 with no restrictions on playtime? Sign up and enjoy Eorzea today.
damn it, I wish we
Oh! Oh! Careful, they got the shield, so like they just need... Oh!
I win.
Yes! Nice work! Can you pick up my card and revive me, please? Burden, you can leave the medallion there, so then that way it doesn't, like, follow you and such like that for now. That was... Thank you, that was... Actually, hang on a second. I need to put my watch on charge.
Oh shit, Taylor Griffin!
Someone clip that. Someone please clip that. That moment of Cap, of like just congratulations, Cap, and Cap is just like, nah, I'd win, and then Peter Griffin. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I promise you, I am back. Properly this time. I am back. Don't you worry. Alrighty, get rid of the BRB. Get rid of the mambo, the dancing. I am back, everyone. Hi. You know, seeing your VTuber tail makes me remember that I never got to tell you that your partial fursuit is really cute. I especially like your tail. Aw, thank you. I appreciate that. I actually did do like a post recently because apparently people were like celebrating Singles Day. Granted, Single Day is for like November 11th, so 11/11, so singles. But people were posting their stuff on the 12th and the 13th today. I joined in on it as well because, lo and behold, I too am single. Although that's more of a mistake that I am introverted autistic as fuck, and I don't usually go out very often. It's one of those cases of like, you know, you're gonna have to talk to girls. You're gonna have to like, you know, converse with women. You're gonna have to talk to people to like, you know, have fun and such. All right, where am I going? No, stay here. Hang on. Where am I going next? So I'm at Midway Gardens. So Sunrise Springs, Midway Gardens, Evening Lake. Is that where I'm going next? I think that's where I'm going next. Okay, so now we're entering Spike's Arena because of it. So yeah, so I did like some fursuit posting and such like that. The reason that I am very interested in like having a partner and such like that is, one, I would very much love like the emotional companionship and what have you, but two, I could then have someone take pictures of me in my fursuit. They won't have to be like, you know, terribly positioned / posed zebra outfits.
Can't be worth all this trouble.
Without the dragons, the magic in this world will wither away. Without magic, I'll die. And so will your ever slim chance of becoming a sorceress. Now, watch how a real sorceress dispatches her enemies.
Release me from this cage, you merciless miscreants!
Bentley?
How would you like some dragon for lunch?
Why, if I had my club, you'd all be in for...
Look. They got a lot right, and then they made the fucking top head, like, you know, cartoony villain, instead of just keeping it as, like, you know, some mythical thingamadiggy. But for now, Final Fantasy XIV is an MMORPG.
My technical instincts told me the sorceress would attack you here, so I flew
Cookie for Jason!
Rocket launchers don't affect this creature, but I can assist you by dropping ammunition. Now get in there and fight the good fight.
Thank you, Sergeant Bird.
Hello.
Oh, it's gonna take several hits, isn't it? Yeah, hello again, Jason. How was dinner? Did you have a good time? Dinner was nice. You had baked potatoes. Nice! Delicious! I wonder if I'll be able to get baked potatoes when I'm up in the States. I should probably talk to my mom a little bit about, like, hey, like, maybe, like, further plans about the States and such like that. Or my grandfather, because, yeah, there isn't too much planning. There we go. Hi there, Nom the Nom. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. How's it going, Thembo? Can we get a shout out for Nom the Non, please? Welcome back. You love baked potatoes. It's really easy to make them, Grant. No, no, no. The issue isn't making them. The issue isn't trying to make them sage. It's the fact that, like, you know, maybe I'll be able to have them in the States and such like that. So... how is it going on the Nom? I've seen you streaming a few times, and I never, like, I keep forgetting to commit to raiding into you. I know to... Hi there, Fox Macro, welcome to the stream. Oh my gosh, look at all these peeps. Look at all these peeps coming in. Welcome. How is it going? How are you doing? What is happening? Thank you for doing the shout out to Nom the Nom. Oh, that's a new one.
Listen to me, Dragon.
Oh, it's Bianca again.
Spyro, this is serious now.
Could not care.
The sorceress
Sorry.
is planning a trap for you, and if she catches you, believe me, you don't want to know what she's going to do. Look, I promise to take good care of the rest of the eggs. I mean it. Just take Hunter and go back home before... I can't say it. Just go.
Moving on. No one stay away from Spyro. Nice. I'm glad you liked the Spyro games. I've never played the Spyro games. Like, I know it's like a childhood, like, nostalgia for a lot of people and such, but I have no experience with Spyro games other than... What was the first one with Elijah Woods voicing him, where it was like, Spyro, you're a special purple dragon. And like you had like ultimate abilities or some shit? That's one. The frozen... Is there even a point to picking up these things? Dang. Probably not, actually. Color me curious. The Legends series, you dropped off hard then. Yeah, so I've only played the first game in the Legends series. I've never played the original trilogy that was released on the PlayStation 1.
Spyro, on behalf of the Ice Fairies, I want to grant you a special power for as long as you stay in our world.
Ooh, cool. Still fire. Never mind. It's just blue flame, I see.
Some bearer sold us a laser defense system to protect us from Rhinox. But with these flippers, I can't even turn it on. You'd have no trouble using it, though. Just walk inside. When you're done...
Go. But yeah. Jason's doing alright? Nice, nice. But yeah, so third game in so far. I'm liking it. I know a lot of furries like really enjoyed the remake for the first one because of the fact of, you know, Dragon Dads and what have you. They didn't keep the Dragon Dads for, like, the third one. Like, they didn't, like, change it so that you were getting the Dragon Dads again. So, instead, it's just, you know... You're just grabbing, like, dragon babies or some bullshit. Alright. Oh, wait, hang on. What am I thinking? I'm meant to, like, fly over that. Yeah. Stupid me. And then... Alright, so I do get like a special ability thing. It is just cross-related. Snowman. Alright, cool. I won't be able to...
Eustace and I were having a snow...
Alright. Go into here again. Look at Discord if you have time. Maybe. There we go. And there's that thing there. Maybe? Hang on, let's see. Oh, god damn you. Alright, don't... Alright, here we go. Jump, leap. Nah, it's barely enough to get to there, so...
It would be easy to get up to that treasure if you had something to stand on.
Oh, that's what they want me to do at the other on the other platform. God damn you. Alright, avoid the edited fins. Oh, hello there, little Incineroar. Trying to get a look at my cake. Alrighty. Go into here. Alright, deal with the snowman. There we go. Bald again! Curse you, little Incineroar! How's it going? The rooftop one was a nice challenge. Wait, the world need to make a follow-up after converting the first 3 games. Oh, interesting. Well, I hope you enjoy them, Jerry. I've personally been enjoying these ones. I've personally been enjoying this series. It's been a... Never mind, little Incineroar doesn't want to hear it. Little Incineroar doesn't want to hear anything I have to say. Apparently I just gotta keep on playing the video games and shut my mouth. Oh, Alejandrin, hi, welcome. Big Wolf Mom hugs. Thank you for the Big Wolf Mom hugs. I absolutely adore the hugs. Thank you so much. I've been having a good day so far, thank you very much. It's been fairly good. How are you doing? I noticed you were doing a few more 3D edits as well. I don't know who the most recent model is, but looks good. A lot of cake. Oh, nice. Not really much to do here. Pick you up. Oh, that's cool. Oh wait, no, I'm going the wrong way. Damn it! Where do they want me going? No, not the cactus! Why do you not like me, Incineroar?
Say, Spyro, you're a sports fan, aren't you? Head on in, Spyro. It should be a...
Alright, time to deal with some last-minute accidents.
I challenged a Rhinoc to a traditional game of cat hockey, but I think I sprained my flipper while... Great.
Freeze the cats and push them into the blue goal. Noted. Hurting a bunch of cats. Gosh darn it. Wait. Have I been putting them in the wrong goal? Oh, I have. Oh, no. I've been putting him in the wrong goal.
You should have... Great.
Oh, why did they do... Why did they make... Oh. There we go. Nope, 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 nope. Why is this getting so difficult for me to do? It's just hurting cats! Come on, come on. Yeah!
Well done. I think you...
Why did you de-himbo me, Vox Macro? Darn it, you got some really good, like, emotes. Maybe I need to do the whole, like, pec flexing thing that a number of these people... So... Alright, so Cosmic Wolf has done plex flexing, but I like how Neth Gugrat has done theirs, though. Alright, there we go. Ah. There we go.
You gave that Rhinox such a drubbing.
Alright, cool. So I don't have to do another one here. Nice. Why would you de-himbo me? It's just not fair. It's just not fair.
Why don't you take this? The Rhinox were trying to fry it with a laser.
Lapadula, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Yes. Also, nice work on getting the trout there, Sir Dragon. How long muscle flat? I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, no, wrong way, wrong way. Alright, so that just takes me back to the start. Not really a point to go further. Oh, trying to be him, only 9%. Oh, Nom! So... The himbo, bimbo, thembo rating works with pronouns, by the by. So, yeah. You can do, like, thembo, or... Cool flexing. 93! That was a good rating, by the by, Noms. Yeah, see? Look at that. It respects pronouns, so I think I had it where if it's a they, them, so if you have, like, your primary pronoun is they, them, because it's not really good with, like, secondary pronouns, the system, but with the first pronoun, if you are, like, they, them as your elected pronoun, it goes off of, like, your, you know, if you ask for himbo as a they, them, it gives you a himbo rating. If you ask for bimbo rating as a they, them, and it gives you your bimbo rating, and then they, them does, you know, they, them ratings. If you are someone with pronouns and you do they, thems, it still goes to their, like, first pronoun and such. So, he, her will get himbo rating when you do they, them. She, her will get bimbo rating when you do they, them. So, hopefully it works. I need to make, like, a more adaptable, library of language, though, I will be real with you. Oop, you just... 65... Oh, that's why I need the eggs. That's why I need the eggs. God damn it. Oh, it's to open the gates, and some of them I don't have enough of. Alright, hang on. You need 100 eggs for the ending? Good. Is it for, like actually getting to the final boss, or is it 100 eggs for the quote-unquote true ending? Because I'm not interested in true ending nonsense. Hi there, Warhorse Indra. Welcome to the stream. One day they'll add more to it. One day I will. One day I will. Also, yay, I'm back from my... There we go. Alright, I'm gonna need more bugs. Final boss. 150 is the total number of... Ah, okay, so... I'm probably in the last area as well, so... This is probably what I'm gonna... Probably gonna need it. Yeah, no, it's not this one that I needed to do the thing. It's the next area that I need to do the thingy. Alrighty, so jump, glide, and then... That way I can jump on him to then go up here and see... Oh, I thought there would be an egg. I was really hoping for an egg, quite frankly. Oh, there's an egg. Alright, grab use while I'm here. Cecil for the secret final boss, but I don't think Zeebs cares for that. Nah, not for the secret final boss. Alright, back into here, because we have to deal with the snowman again. Alright. And then we've got... Take a jump. And then grab you so we can get the thingamajiggy up. Yep, there's nothing here. Spyro, I would love to visit with you here at the mountain, but I'm helping out my brother. Come to my outpost at the earliest convenience. Sincerely, Bentley. How strong these hips? Very strong. No! Ow. Okay, cool, so... Alright, here we go. Dozen cold ones. Very strong hips, thank you very much. Alright. But yeah, I need to think of, like, some decent... I need to think of some decent phrases for, like, you know, a mix of the himbo, bimbo, and thembo. Also, why must you bonk me? I am doing my best. The best around. Nothing's ever gonna bring me down. Ding and wrong. Across the rooftops. Oh, I think I know. I think I know now. So yeah, okay, so I need to... Alrighty, so... Thank you for sticking around your thing. So now, if I go up here... Yep, there it is. Yeah, alright, cool. So. Alrighty, so I need to... Alright, so I'm gonna need to do some rooftop jumps. Try and make it to the other side. There we go. Alright, so it wasn't as hard as I thought it was gonna be, which was good. Nice. And that leaves... Yep, that leaves the Yeti. So now we can head back to Evening Lake. Because there was, like, other places we could go and what have you. Wait, no, wrong portal. This one. Ow. I have an idea. I don't know if... Because I see someone streaming. I'm pretty sure. Did they... Actually, did they fix their thing? Or did they leave it open? Can I prank them? Invite guest. I will be surprised if this works. I wanna see what happens. I invited Kahlua. Let's see. Wonder if it's gonna shake them. Ah, they don't see anything. They must not have Twitch open. Who Zeebs have on mind to raid? We're not raiding yet. I just wanted to see if this thingy-madiggy I had would work. So, oh wait, knock. So if I... so you can send... Hello? I'm doing well. I just want to tell you real quick, you're muted on my side. Oh my gosh, yeah. You're in my Discord, I'm pretty sure, as well. Here's the clever thing, however. I'll need to hide the browser source and what have you, but the chats are shared, I'm pretty sure. So if someone writes something in my chat, it should pop up in yours. I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, no, I have to start sharing chat. There we go. So now it should be a thing. But yeah, let me head into a Discord and then I'll, like, you know, mute all this nonsense. Ding. Are you? Alright. Because I am in yours. Ding. If I can find Kahlua. There's Kahlua. And then... I don't see your streaming channel. If... Alright, I'll move over into cinema and you can, like, drag me or some nonsense. Unless I'm in the wrong thing. Ah, there we go. Join voice. Oh, it doesn't drop me into your voice, however. Oh. There we go. Alright, now I just need to hide the stream together because it's blocking my... Your face is blocking my face.
Raid here! Raid!
Yeah. No, it's because of the browser source that I have. Hang on a sec. So... There we go. Ta-da! And I got... Oh my god! Hi, Trumpet Collins. Hi. They're like, where is Grant? And his... Set. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Trumpet Collins. They are a Queensland... sorry, not Queensland. Gold Coast fur. I met them at Furdo last year or a year ago. 2 years ago. Yeah. Alrighty. Now comes the real question. Why can't I get my Discord group? Darn, there is no Discord thingy. I saw you playing Spyro. We were playing the same thing. Yeah. I'm on to the third one. I'm actually pretty far into this. So, also, I'm just gonna adjust my...
Getting shit thrown at me in-game and on stream.
I am currently...
This is not fair.
Oh, it's totally fair. We don't get
You're currently
fairness.
I'm gonna turn you up a little bit. Beep, 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 beep.
Alright, fair enough. Hello.
Where's my...
Did you know the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV contains a free trial?
Doesn't Rhinox to capture this dim-witted furball, so you'd better believe he's not.
Okay, so I've muted. I think I've muted Logan. I can't get rid of this now.
Can't get rid of what now?
This Chrome window at the bottom.
Yeah, I like. Hang on, because if I end
X out of that, is that gonna drop it?
if you end stream together, I think it does stop the streaming chat. Streamers can join chat once they're live.
I mean, like yeah, ending the stream, but there's a Chrome window open, and you know how Chrome is. It's sucking the life out of the rest.
Yeah, because even if I like mute and all this kind of nonsense, there's gotta be a way to make it so it's like.
Can I just X out of it? And will it stay like in the background on like Switch? But it's still collaborating.
At least.
Let's see. I'm gonna close the window here. Here. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and it's like, okay, this is as much as I would love shared chats and what have you, I don't want to exactly fuck up our resources and such.
Yeah, true. So if we can not have it, then awesome.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna close the Chrome window and see what happens.
Close it and see if it works.
All right. So
it still shows us like we're still together.
Okay, that's cool. So if I type something in,
Alright, cool.
This, does it pop up on your side? Yeah, it pops up on your side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me that leg, boy.
Does that work?
Yeah. Did you type that in your chat or mine?
I typed it in mine.
Oh, nice. So I got the texting in music. So yeah, and you'll notice.
You got this.
So yeah, and you'll notice, like this happens for me on the OBS side. I'm not too sure if it's because of Franzerface or. Oh no, I think it might be a native thing, but there's a little icon beside the name of like the user where it's like sent from GrantZeebs or sent from Kahlua, so you know which chat it's coming from.
Okay.
So yeah.
Because I don't know if you actually come through on my end as a stream.
Oh, it doesn't look like it's showing on my side. Maybe it's something only in your like like when you're the streamer. So it like only like if I watch your stream and I look at your chat, it all looks like it's coming within your chat. On my side, I can tell the difference.
Yourself?
No, I'm not hearing because I'm not like I have your thingamajiggy muted. So and then if I raise it.
Oh, fair enough. All right, cool.
So yeah, it's so then that way I get those cool lurking points.
On your stream as well, or what?
No, you should be heard on my stream because of the Discord thing. The problem is that the Fugi isn't working, and I have a clever technique. Get ready for this shit. Ding, dong, and then you go back in. Just checking updates. So I'm on Grants, but Kalua's, Cyrus, and are from Kalua's. Yeah. Getting back into there. Ding. Dong. Bam. Reconnect. Let me reconnect, please. Reconnect. To fix. Just trying to... Oh, it's not going... Was trying to fix Fugi. Ah! Ding. Reconnect. Just let me reconnect, please. Damn it. Ah. Bam.
I have no idea what happened there, did I?
No, you didn't. So what? Because I was trying to use the cool. I was trying to do this thing where, because if you quit out of Discord and then it opened, but you were in like a VC or something like that. When you open it back up, normally you have the opportunity of being able to like reconnect to it and what have you. But that hasn't fixed for the Fugi. So hang on a second. Maybe I just need to make it so it's like, oh, the Fugi I just need to turn on as, you know, explicit.
But I sent you an invite to the stream thing. I think maybe I just have to give you like permission.
Maybe? Nah, because... Nah. Can I log in with tech difficulties? Yay! Tech difficulties! Does it still say we're streaming together is the question. Because if it doesn't, then... Donk. And then join. Like, it lets me join the channel, but it doesn't let me... You're not streaming together anymore. Ah.
Did it work?
Nah, it doesn't get me into stream for whatever reason. So yeah. I have like a different setup on my side where once I like drag you into my into my VC, you're given like a temporary permission, so then that way you're able to do like things such as like typing in the chat and what have you. And I think if you were like really quick, you could like leave and re-enter. So, but one of the
maybe that might work.
Yeah, one of the downsides, unfortunately, is after a little bit after the Google thingamadoogies, we're no longer streaming together. It shows, which is annoying. So yeah, it just takes up resources. Yeah.
Also, if people get out of our out of that little Chrome window.
Yeah, that's annoying because it's like if I click on invite guests, and then there's like no recents found, invite a few, and they'll appear
may
here.
have gotten himself into trouble during my absence.
Okay, so if I open stream together once again, it's still linked as like Popstar. Start a shared chat, and then I'd have to invite you in. Okay, yeah, no, it's darn. I was really hoping. That's annoying. Where it's like, oh, you have to do the stream together via Twitch and shit.
You have to have the view. I guess it's not too bad because I'm playing Spyro.
Yep. No, fair enough. Your audio is, for me at the very least, doing a weird. I don't know how to explain like the. It's like robotic doubling or something like that.
I think it does that when there's a lot of shit being used.
Yeah, it's a CPU or audio card thing. Darn.
So that's probably it.
They make it really fucking simple for like flesh tubers to do their collabs and shit. But the minute it's like VTubers with using as much of their blah 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 as much of their CPU as possible, it's like unless you're doing a two PC setup, you ain't gonna have fun.
I do have, but it's just tough. It's hard.
Yeah. Fair enough. Sorry.
So good. It just means I would come in robotic especially while having promo. Although extra robotic.
Yeah, it's a bit robotic.
If you use your spin move to deflect.
So yeah, so in the third Spyro, it's like, oh, we have
You have to get the timing just right. Press the charge button.
Alright, so in the third one, it's like you got like companions. So Sergeant Bird was one you could play as, and now I'm playing as like a giant Yeti. Have you played this series before?
Giant Yeti.
Yeah. Colin says dinner, getting hungry. Not to worry. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear your response. So, have you played this series before, or this is the first time for you?
I played number 2, literally number 2, and that's it. And number 2 I played when I was like 12 years old.
Yeah, no, I remember number 2 like at a friend's place because our household was not a what's-a-maboozies. It was not a PlayStation household. My sister and I like did like a debate.
Was it a Nintendo household?
No, we were an Xbox household. We didn't get like a console until the Xbox One or PlayStation 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
As in the first Xbox. I was like Xbox One.
No, not the Xbox. The original, I think X-Bone is the name they give it.
X-Bone is the better way to say it, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way they describe it. So, but yeah, this was like some proper autism in me where it was just sort of like, oh, this is a better game a better console to get because we don't have to pay extra for memory. It's got done by Microsoft where we have guarantees and there's, you know, very popular games like Halo that are on here and party games. But then like over the years I'm like, man, I wish I had a PlayStation.
Yeah. Did I tell you the story as to how I got my PlayStation? My very first one?
No, I've not heard of this one. Do share.
I had some cousins that didn't really would like me playing the Nintendo. And they had a Nintendo 64. And like they would play it now and then, but most of the time like I just wouldn't, because they were older cousins. They were my older cousins, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's their Nintendo. They can do what they want. They can let someone else play it or not. And of course, that as a kid made me a little bit sad. I was like, oh, they won't let me play it. And when well, basically, Mum had seen that, so my mother had seen it and kind of gone to talk to my auntie and gone, you know.
I think you did tell me this one. It was like in it was in chat, just not in VC. I don't know why.
Oh, true.
Completely
out of spite. So after they had or Mum had basically talked to my auntie and said, you know, let him play it with your kids, and she's like, it's like their Nintendo, they can do what they want with it. So she's like, oh, okay, I see how it is. And then, for no reason at all, she just turns up with a PlayStation, with a brand new PlayStation home, and being like, hey, little Kahlua, this one's for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? It's not my birthday. It's not Christmas. So the whole time, I was just like, what was the reason for, like, I never really got anything, especially of that magnitude. Like, I got little toys now and then or whatever, but I wasn't like in a well-off family. But having like a PlayStation or something as like, you know, holy crap, a whole entire PlayStation was the biggest thing for me. I got spoiled that day. Yeah, I did. And I only found out like much later on that it was because of that reason. And she was basically like, to my cousins, basically it just been said, oh, you get your own better thing now. And they tried to convince me, the poor cousins were obviously jealous, and they were trying to be like, oh, the Nintendo 64 is actually better because it has this many things and this and that. I was like, I don't care. I'm having fun playing my Need for Speed.
Yeah. Why is it?
I don't know how to get this stupid thing happy.
Yeah, you're still underwater, which is like sound wise.
Very frustrating. What would be doing that? I'm gonna leave and come back.
The possibility is because of packet loss, so that's the first one that pops into mind, and the second one I was thinking of was like maybe the Discord like quote unquote stream is just in the wrong region or something like that. But yeah, maybe you just need to leave and come back.
Because that has happened.
Like how
no average ping 19 milliseconds, like that's nothing, and then the outbound packet loss rate 0.0%.
Yeah. Okay. So it isn't. Yeah, because mine average ping 21, last ping 31, and then I've lost like no outbound packets. You may notice delayed audio at 250. You may sound robotic if your packet lasts over 10%. If the problem persists, disconnect and try again. It's like, but you haven't. Like, you're not under those kinds of experiences. Is it because of like my network resources, perhaps? No, wouldn't make sense. And what's more, it's like
wouldn't think so. Like I'm not having anything else go wonky.
Yeah.
Like everything is running fine, just as normal. But is that the first thing that's getting like issues?
It's the first.
I'm saying,
it's the
like,
first time
the first thing where
it's the first time I'm hearing issues from you. I'm just gonna force close Chrome. Say a few words.
Hello, my name is Kahlua, and I'm a big stupid lion.
Nah, it's still doing it on my end, so that's
still the same.
So
let me try. What if I hop into like fucking games?
All right, and then I'm gonna move over into games.
For some reason, let me try this. Is it?
Nah.
Still.
But hey, I get your Discord Fugi in the bottom left.
Fugi. Is it? Well, yeah, that might be it. But is
Nah, it's still doing the robotic nonsense.
Is my voice still weird?
Yeah, it's still.
All right, I'm just going to disconnect altogether.
All right. Ding, dong. Then we go. So yeah, because let's see, 45% CPU, 41%, 55. Darn.
Sigh. Any better?
Nah, I don't need better. Darn, like
this is weird, man. I've never had this issue before.
Yeah, no, because I remember like you've done like collab streams in the past, and like I've heard them.
Done collab streams. I've done plenty of stuff, and with games that are much more involved than this.
Yeah, It's like you're playing, so, and my PC is at a relative, like, it's not going full blast because, like, you know, this Spyro game I'm playing on a console, so I'm just doing, so, like, the one PC is working like a streaming PC instead. So it's not, like, nothing is over, like, 50% utilization. Let's see, like, Discord isn't having a...
this is strange.
This is a... Darn.
What's even stranger is I can't work out how to get this fucking last dragon.
Darn. I was really looking forward to, like, just being like a, he left his, you left your stream together unblocked because everyone else has theirs, like, turned off to, like, the extreme, and I was just like, I'll join in and show the magic of share chat. But then it's like, oh, it's doing this, you know, electric voice nonsense, and I was like, damn it! That's like kind of doing...
Damn it!
We've accomplished less by me interrupting your stream, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Alright, so you're trying...
No, I'd say we've accomplished plenty.
Yeah. So... You need to, it's like around...
Can I just look it up?
It's right there, so... I think what you need to do is you need to have... Because you need to make the flight distance, but you need to do it by having that thing go down.
No, I'll go down first, but which idiot is it connected to? Because these little guys.
Well, it's no one on...
It's these little guys that have it.
I don't think it's either of them, honestly. I think it's someone on the other... Back on the other
I don't
side.
think it's either of those dudes.
I think it's back on the other side. You need to sort of hit... I think you need to hit,
Maybe I need to hit both of those dum-dums.
Yeah, like, real fast. I remember getting that dragon, I will be real with you. I just can't remember explicitly, but yeah.
No, it's not them, because I've hit them both, and the thing's not going down.
Yeah, so what I mean is that, like, back on the other side of the wall.
Thank you, Trumpet Collins _gaming.
So where you were first, they have to be both, because one of them will wake up before the other one does. Thank you so much, Trumpet Collins, for the gifted sub. I greatly appreciate it. It's gone to Rashiram54321.
That one doesn't go down at all.
Oh, okay.
Spyro expert here to help him.
No, you got, like, that guy there. Oh, wait, no, was he sleeping?
Yeah.
So it raises him up. Yeah. So it's not...
If I get him as well, it definitely doesn't go down.
Yeah, okay.
The Jess is on the ridge, you have to hit them both. See, I've hit both of those guys at the same time.
Yeah, no, they've been...
That's what I did just before.
Because we did observe, and it wasn't like either of them were hit.
See, there's... So I've got them both, and that thing isn't going down.
Zep, just lowers
Like
your
the same
chair.
ridge. What same ridge? Oh, you mean the same...
Wait, there's...
One on the right lowers the big one. Oh, yeah.
We're just, like, passively watching, Kahlua play games.
Can't help it.
As best as I can, but...
Okay. Nom apparently knows. Like, on the same ridge. So this ridge that I'm... So the guys down here?
Oh, there's a turnaround. So if you look to your right, there's a, on the platform there he is. We're talking about that.
This one.
Possibly that one?
This guy.
Possibly. So hit.
Oh, yes it is.
So yeah, you're gonna need a...
Oh shit.
I don't know if you're gonna make it in time.
Yeah, I will.
Oh, nice!
Bro, thank you.
Awesome. I can't solve your IT problems, but we got there. Himbos together strong.
Himbos together strong.
Yeah.
Share brain cell.
So yeah, me and
do you have a
Code.
recommendation for a CPU that would be
Well, me personally, I'm currently going through a mine's pretty powerful. It's a 5950X. What's yours right now?
Let me see.
So, because if the CPU isn't showing like 100% utilization, then it's probably not a CPU thing. Because I know.
Hey, no, thank you. Welcome to Gooch Game.
No, it's noms.
The noms, one and only. Look at Big Stretch from Spyro.
Aw, Big Stretch.
Big Stretch. Wait, where do I see my Intel Core i7?
So yeah, so
10700F.
107. No, 107. It's not that far behind, quite frankly. Like we.
That's right. I only installed it like feels like 8 months ago. No, 6 months ago.
Yeah, but if you go back to processes,
something.
If you go back to processes, for instance, like your CPU is only like what, like 80-90% usage.
Let me see. Let me just bring up my task.
So, because you can see.
CPU is sitting at 70.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense because if it was like if
it was like struggling,
was very high and everything was if it was struggling, then sure it would be an excuse to say, oh, okay, that's the reason why. But it's not. Memory is at 45%, GPU at 63.
All right. Do you mind if we go to?
Well, hold on. Let me see if I do, because if this is it, I'm gonna be very
voice mod.
Angry, not angry. Yeah.
I've stopped using voice mod.
What if I? How about this?
It's a little bit better. Let's say a few things.
Is it a little bit better?
Oh no, it's still
testing. 1, 2, 3.
No, it still doesn't.
No, it's still bad.
It's still bad. Okay.
I was kind of hoping that was it.
I was thinking it could have been. All right. One last try. We'll go to an entirely different server. We'll go to mine because then I'll be able to like drag you and you get the permissions and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see what happens. Okay. So,
okay, which one do you want me to join?
So if you go into like stream waiting room or something like that, and then I can drop you into Zebra streaming. We'll see what happens.
Sick.
All right. See you there.
Hopping in now.
All right. So I'm here. And then Kalua's here. Kalua.
There we go.
Oh, nah, it still doesn't. God fucking. Okay, so it's
what? It's my end. It's gotta be my end.
Wait, no, hang on. Mine is doing an average ping of like 150 minutes. What the fuck? Why is it 150 milliseconds?
Probably picked a different server.
That's annoying because this should be Aussie.
Well, I got both dragons. I can just kind of leave.
Alright, let me have a look at my nonsense. So, ding, 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 ding. Where is it in the thing? So, overview, mentions, roles, emojis. Where the fuck is the thing where it's like... Because I know, like, some places you can, like, explicitly make it where it's like, oh, this, connection is... Oh, it's probably on the VC channel itself. Like, if I go to edit channel...
Oh.
And then region override, automatic. Sydney. Save changes. And then we'll see what happens. Ba 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 ba. Nah. Fuck. And then once again, 160 millisecond thing. Like what the shit? How is the ping better on your server than on my...
I have no idea.
What? Going above 64 bits may adversely affect people on poor connections. Okay, what if I lower this to like 34 and then save changes?
Can you pick a...
You can do a region override. So I went to Sydney.
Oh, okay.
So... And then if I go to voice settings, average ping 159, last ping 157. End-to-end encryption. Is it because of the end-to-end encryption? No, it wouldn't be. No slow mode. Missions. There's no webhook integrations.
Hey, Ray. How's it going?
Pain. Darn. I was hoping we could have fun chatting. My goodness.
Now it's just weird because you come in through just fine. You come through great.
Okay. Awesome. I was. We need like a mediator or something like that, so then that way, because if I'm fine for you but problematic for me, the third person would then be able to confirm whether it's, because if you're problematic for them as well, then we have a more accuracy of like something weirdly on your end.
Yeah, that's it.
But if you're fine on their end, then it's like something on my end, which is gonna be oh so fun to do troubleshooting. Damn.
To try and work out. Can only imagine, bro.
Imagining.
Like, there's no reason for it. Imagine imagining.
Thanks, bro. Here's a little something for your.
That couldn't be me. Brain's not made for it. Daydreaming, yes. Imagining, Imagine a lion. Aaron! Lion! Well, then there's no point on, like, not doing the joint stream then. Because I'm gonna come through weird anyway.
Yeah.
Oh no, but then I'm gonna come through weird on your end. Unless the audio goes through on the Twitch side. But then I don't know what it sounded like on the Twitch side rather than through Discord.
Yeah, no, and I think because it goes through the Chrome browser, it's like you either have the entire desktop audio like coming through to your stream, which I don't.
Everything through there, which is no.
That's stupid.
I don't like that either.
I don't like that. I got the application separation thing so that I can do that. I would have to like add the Chrome back in.
Here.
So I'd have to add the Chrome as
one.
one.
I don't want to do that. It's trash.
There's trash.
Trash.
Trash. Damn it, Twitch.
Chrome is trash. Yo, what the fuck? Sorry, audio alert.
Oh, it's what's Mahuzi game?
Ganasty.
Nasty Nork. Oh, crap on a stick, Zebra. A trailer for a new Monster Hunter game on mobile just... Yeah, there's... Oh. No, that's not the same Monster Hunter I was thinking of. Damn.
These are repeats. Not cold.
Oh, hello. It's good to see you
There's a
again,
certain butterfly
Spyro.
lava will come
A
in.
naughty sorceress has stolen the professor's rocket plans, and I'm on
Grant,
a
have you ever
secret
played
mission
the
to
like
find
the
them.
edgy
Handel was
remakes of the
supposed to
Spyro
meet me
games?
here, but I can't find him anywhere.
Oh, the
All the
Legends.
edgy continuations, like and Endless Night and all that.
I played the first one. That's the because like that one was out on the Xbox 360 at the time. That's the only one I played. So my personal experiences of like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot and a lot of the you know, Sony PlayStation games before they moved back over to cinematic experiences with like, you know, controlled camera and all that, and because of Uncharted 2, I don't have any of those experiences prior. So this has honestly been like real fun. So
It's so good. Like the I did enjoy like the whole like edgy remake that they had going.
Yep. Okay. I don't know how I feel about it, because like
loved it.
I like that it had like a little like ultimate power thingamajiggy, but I think like going through like this trilogy, like the original like PlayStation one, I quite like this one. I personally like it.
Oh, I just blew a man up.
Oh yeah, you're
What are
on.
you doing right now? I'm not even watching your side.
I am currently going through. So as I mentioned, I'm going through the third game, Year of Dragon, and I'm going through something called the Firework Factory. So there's all these like ninja rhinos, though.
Ninja rhinos?
Yes, the rhinos are dressed like ninjas. And
that's kind of cool.
I have no rhyme or reason for why that is. And
Quirky Spyro game.
Quirky Spyro game, just being funny.
So
yeah. I kind of liked Ripto's Rage a little bit, like, more. Like, that's my
favorite.
Ripto's Rage is your personal favorite? Nice.
Absolute favorite. Like, it's the... When I said I only played one of the games, it was the second one, so Ripto's Rage and War Gateway.
Nice.
The Glimmer. My favorite game.
Yep.
Alright, it's the first game I ever, like, hit 100% on. Like, all of the orbs, every single one of them.
Oh my goodness.
Smash. He's so sarcastic.
Oh. Typical Aussie loving the sarcasm.
Oh, yeah, I'm kind of playing Smash or Pass with the dragon.
Ah, okay.
Kind of, maybe, sorta.
It looks
What
like
the-
you'll have to use
okay.
this cannon to get across here.
Alright. I never played Smash or Pass. Like, nah, here's the thing. I can't judge, especially considering, like, you know, this character that I have. It's just one of those cases of, like, I can understand the appeal of them and such, but, like, I'm for the ladies. I'm not a bi icon or anything like that. I am just simply a imbo.
Because I was saying, like, where are all the lady dragons from?
They're in, like, A Hero's Tale, I think? 'Cause that was, I don't know where that one was, but there was, like, a thing where it was, like, you know, the thieves stole, like, the dragon eggs, and it was just like, stop thieves! It's like, those dastardly thieves! They stole my dragon eggs! And it was like, you have to get, like, 10 in a set or something like that, and you get, like, a skin or something for Spyro to wear, so you look like a different dragon? I don't know, I never, like, properly played through that one, so...
Legends has the lady dragons, hell yeah.
Nice. So...
Are they uppity, or are they like Cinder? Like adult Cinder? I mean, you didn't hear that noise coming from?
Nope, didn't hear anything. The microphone, it's just, the quality.
It's the microphone. I'm quite miffed about that.
Yeah. If you want, we can...
I don't know what I would have to do to fix it now. Like, if I was...
combo power up to take out
Sorry, I was... You were talking, I decided to stop. No, but I was gonna say, like, we could, like...
you said if you want.
We could, like, you know, go back out to our normal thingy-diggies if it, like, you know, irks on you on that one. Because it kind of... Yeah, I can understand why it's, like... unpleasant.
Yeah, got no clue.
Yeah.
What were you suggesting?
No, wasn't any good suggestion, sorry. So, and I hit the lava. So apparently, like... Yeah. Plus, you're nearing the end of, like, Nasty North and shit like that, so...
Yeah. What was that? Like, it's taking me... I really thought I would get through this, like, within a stream.
It takes, like, I would say, like, 3 or 4 streams to go through a Spyro game, because of, like, only going, like, 3 hours a night for myself, personally. So, it's not, like... So it's not terrible, just, you know... Takes a bit. Because I've been going through so many Souls-likes and, JRPGs, so it's like... You're just...
Zen, thank you for following with the Gucci Gang. I hope you enjoy yourself here. I hope doesn't smell...
Smelly.
I mean, it doesn't smell right.
Smelly. Man can smell. All men can smell. It's called a nose.
It's called musk.
Ooh, interesting. It didn't do the... Did you hear it? Nope.
Agree.
Nah, my Steam...
What was that?
My Stream Deck apparently just doesn't want to work with Discord. It doesn't want to play soundboards and such, so... This high quality stream is scuff.
Yeah, it's all scuffed. It's all scuffed, bro.
Yeah. But hey, on the good news though, I found $2 on the floor on my way back home. Like I think yesterday or the day before.
Oh yeah.
I used that $2 coin to get myself 2 lottery ticket or 2 Insta Scratch It tickets. One of them,
did you win anything?
Yeah, one of them was a free ticket, which led me to a $2 win. The other one was a $5 win. I made that $2 back.
No, you made $7 technically.
Yeah, it's $7 because I found a $2 coin and shit. So yeah, so to help with good karma and what have you, I'm going to need to give away that like $2 coin. I'm gonna drop it like on the train or someplace to, you know, get it all back.
Just put it somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like the communal.
With this, I don't like this map. What is with there's like these 2 like dragon halves or something like that, and I am not understanding like how to break them down and what have you. It's like I have to like hit them and shit, but like they regenerate as well.
Oh, I'm not sure if I like this guy.
Oh no, you just have to run fast. Hi there, Vovander. The most fun fight in the game. This is not the most fun fight in the game, Vovander. You gaslighting me on this one. You have to like hit these like different pieces.
Oh, okay, he pushed me into the water.
Oh, nah. The minute they push you into water, it's not fair. It's just like way too much. These guys have like just so many segments, so it's like, how am I supposed to hit the like reasonably enough? What is their technique?
You can't afford to waste any time, Spyro. If you leave the fire...
Yeah, if you leave the dragons alone, they regrow their tail, and it's like, great. I'm just gonna focus on
Dragons
one.
can regrow their tails?
Well, these ones can. So yeah, and it's like, yeah, they regrow at a pretty decent rate.
These repeats, or do I have to take Smash again? Smash. I changed my mind.
Oh, that guy looks pretty cool as fucking mustache, doesn't he? I don't think there's been a Spyro game in the trilogy yet where I haven't had to deal with a fucking Bayou language. Someone just talking Cajun accent.
True. There's always one of them.
Always.
What do you mean I said there were repeats from the start? Yeah. I remember now.
And okay. Personally, do not.
Dragon DN?
Dragon's got me. Yeah.
Thank you, Nate, for subscribing, bro. Love you lots. I'm gonna pick you up by the tail and swing you around. Out of love.
Gonna absolutely demolish you and ruin your stomach
Grant.
consensually.
Consensually?
Yeah. Just.
Oh yeah, right. It's Cletus.
One of the things I had to like show on stream is the fact that there is a zebra species called GrantZeebs. Purely coincidental.
Right. I don't think it was intentional, was it?
No, it was not intentional going for that name for my persona. It was like, fuck it, Grant Johnson. There we go, job done. All right, let's go on to F list. And no, it just like turns out, oh yeah, GrantZeebs is like one of 7 plain zebra species. The only downside is it's the smallest of the plain zebras. So
I don't need to do this. Oh. You needed to go for it. Other zebra.
Yeah, no. I'm fine with it because it's like it's
Zebro.
Zebro. Well, I'm not even like that accurate of a. I'm not even that accurate of a zebra just because my tail is very much horse-like with like, you know, majority hair rather than, you know, half hair, half flesh.
At least we have one thing in common. We have top.
The toughest. Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Tucked. Except mine has this weird, like, spike, the little bone in it.
Ah, okay. Mine is like, it does the racehorse thing where it like folds in. Oh my god, my chat was not kidding. This might take 20 to 30 minutes just to deal with the amount of like segments these guys have because of the... Ah, you bastard.
Fuck some major butt.
Yeah, I just wish it wasn't like only one segment. If it was like 2 or something, then it wouldn't be like such a, you know, grind fest. Because like they then suddenly go like under the map, and then it's just like I can either pursue them, crash into the walls when I do, or wait for them to come back up. But by then, like they've regrown like, you know, 2 or 3 segments, which I would have, you know, been able to just have gotten like rid of again.
Oh, I'm risking it for risking it.
Risking it for biscuit is always risking.
Always risking.
No clue where this
Ah, I'm dead. I'm dead. Where just pop out these guys?
It's so low, but it's regaining. Ah, you... And then they just throw random fireballs at me just to make it even harder. Stop running away from me and accept your fate, weird Chinese
Crispy
dragon
lima,
thing.
that sounds delicious. I didn't know they made them that way.
Like charge.
Where are we going?
Air. And jump.
Yum.
If I could do like long shots hit, then it wouldn't be as painful.
But they said long shots for a second. I was like, yeah, boy.
No. Alright, here we go.
It's with the angry face. Lemur. Confronting the nasty Gnorian.
Alright,
that joke's been done a lot of times, doesn't it?
Nasty Gnorian. Oh,
nasty Gnorian.
Oh, he's almost gone. He's got like 5 segments left.
Oh, crispy bacon. No, it's not. Crispy lima, which is better. Oh shit, I can cook. Okay, he just kills you with one hit apparently.
Oh, that's not good. Where's the blue one? Oh, don't you dare go back underground and have me fucking deal with tunnels. God damn you.
Shit, I mean...
Oh.
So I'm chasing the little dickhead with the key.
Oh, I hate chases. Like, you really need to find shortcuts, quite honestly.
Yeah. Did they give me the key? Yeah, he did. Ugh.
Why? They should have made the dragons fatter. Because, like...
This key.
You open a door.
Where's the door? Let me find this damn door. Oh. Found the door. Don't ignore me. Yeah, you better be scared, you little douche.
You have to basically like fly right beside it, which is Not a fun technique if it decides to like fly down. Yep, there we go.
Alright, he gave me another key. Do I now can I confirm nasty ignore? Yes I can. Here, dum-dum.
Get that flower.
Mind me. No, bro, I have to do that all again?
Yeah, no, it makes you... It's a painful one. It like just lets you start all the way from the beginning. It doesn't give you like checkpoints or anything like that.
To chase all of these dum-dums again.
Yep.
That's cool.
Look. They make him the final boss.
Yeah, that's why he's the final boss, I guess. All I did was like fall off a... I just fell off a little ledge.
Alright, is the red one close? Come on.
Spyro 3 on PS1, damn!
Yep.
Mine was Spyro, yeah, Spyro 2 on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, mine was like the one with Elijah Woods in it. That was like my proper first one. Or A Hero's Tale.
Yeah.
I think it might have been A Hero's Tale, but I don't think... I never finished it. Alright, the red one's
No, he's
almost dead. Stop going into the tunnels! Where is the red one while he's... Oh, he's...
What am I meant to do? Am I meant to just flame this guy, or do I have to run into him?
You need to run in... You need to, like, flame... Oh! You mother... You need to like flame him when you get close enough.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. So you have to at least run the course once, I know. So. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to... I remember Crash Bandicoot did like the Wrath of Cortex. I remember playing... That was like my first Crash Bandicoot. And then there was like Crash Nitro Kart. And then Insanity was a good one. I don't know how though. I somehow like glitched it so I got to an end. But the thing is I didn't know how to play Crash Twinsanity then. So like, you know, I was an idiot in video games long ago. I didn't have an understanding of like how I wanted to do the puzzles and such. Oh my god, these dragons do move faster. That's annoying as fuck.
It's more like a cat now. I do like how there's this sleepy kitty and not. Okay, well I finished number 1. I thought that was gonna be easier to kill.
Nice work.
I mean harder to kill Gymnastic and Borg. Now for the favorite game.
Ripto's Revenge, you're going straight into it?
I'm gonna go straight into it. It's only like 8:40.
Okay. You go on for longer than like 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, a little bit longer. We might go until like 10 or 11. The challenges in Spyro 1 are reasonable. Yeah, they are. And in Spyro 2, they're reasonable as well.
Okay.
It's like, oh, the big challenges if you really want to do them.
No.
Fair
That's
enough.
not like... I don't need the extra challenge in like, video games or what have you. I'm good with like them
if
just
I
giving
wanted
me
to.
normal challenges and what have you.
Absolutely. And you have like the insane ones, which like Crash Bandicoot 4 have.
Yeah, no thanks. Alright. Red one. And
Someone like Gamer. Oh, Dragon Show.
And they they're hard enough with the regeneration. It's annoying that they, you know, shoot fireballs at me. And it's like, it's always like when they're like facing head on or some nonsense, so it's like real painful hours there. You hit into their tail, they stop like right.
Almost. I can't believe what they did to my boy. Oh, my boy Hunter, what have they done to you?
Hunter? Oh yeah, they turned him into like sort of that British like hooligan caricature. So that's what he reminds me of. Is just someone too lanky for his stature.
The like reboot of Hunter, that was like, oh, please.
You wish you could do
Piss
the
me
Halo
off
thing
now.
of
I
like,
mean,
you know, just.
Squeak.
Oh, thank you, Trumpet Collins. I will do that shortly. Thank you for the raid earlier. I do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. I am way too focused on trying to get this dragon like thingy out of the way because it is really annoying me. Like, this is such a like different difficulty curve to what I'm used to. So like. And I can't, like, you know, waste my time, like, trying to pick up thingamajiggies, otherwise the dragon... Oh, and it's got back most of its tail already. How are they... Pain. And it doesn't help that, like, the minute they get, like, eye contact on me, it's like, throw a fireball. And it's, like, usually a hit. So, just like,
what the fuck? Panda boy!
Panda?
Hello! It's a follower, man. Oh, the freaking incredible artist just followed me on Twitch.
Nice. Good work.
That's right. Do you know that Dandadan meme that's going around of like the little animal with the hairdryer?
No, you will need to share that with me so I have
like
its context.
Eyes again. I'll show you. I'm doing one of those things, so I'm getting one of those done by them.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still gonna have like colorless hat will be flying away, but the main eyes will stay. Okay. So in all of the memes, like their eyes are going all weird, probably because they're like they're in front of like a windmill. Of course, no color eyeball.
I like that joke.
That's good, man. It'll be well. It'll be good.
Spyro 2 is the better one.
Thanks for giving us one of those commissions. Thank you. Yeah. This was the one I 100% did it. I want to try it then. Perfect.
And he's regrowing. I know they're coming out of that little hole, like the well hole, but I never get a hit on them when they're coming out. It's like...
Hole?
Yeah, there's like these two wells they go in and out of. And...
I'm gonna have to like really concentrate on getting gems in this.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, because gems.
Because of the freaking, not communist, the capitalist bit.
Yeah. Him. Yep, I know who you're talking about. The red one is almost gone, and I'll be able to focus on the blue one next. And once again, throwing too many of the ones back.
Which way's the peach? Not complete. some of those better than later, which is annoying. Yeah, that's true. Like, you gotta go back.
You are. No, don't you dare.
Zap. Gym cutters. Are they meant to be like half kangaroo, half koala?
No, I think they're meant to be like they're a desert mouse. Like in dude, where?
What do you call them? Like it's one of the smallest little mouses. The mouses.
Is that what they're called? The mouses?
No, I'm just stuttering.
Ah, okay.
Money bags. I'm sorry, I'm a cog.
Do I seriously have to go into like
gerbil? It's like a. It's what the word is. It's not quite a gerbil. It's something else. It's They live in the desert. I swear, if you put in tiny desert mouse,
I know.
you'll be able to see that. It's got a weird name.
Yeah.
Not a shrew either. It's like. Fuck! This is gonna kill me.
Ah. This is gonna kill me.
That's it. I knew it was really close to gerbil. Cool, I haven't seen you in a long time. Hey, Daddy! What's going on, man? How's workout progress going? Bro. 100 of your jam or something? We have 100
Did I get him? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Oh, you boy! Amazing noises.
You're doing well, Daddy. Mr. Bro.
I can't stay on the ground and do like a turret. I need to like fly and try and catch him. But the problem is oh,
right, the talisman. Forgot about him. I'm finding all the secrets in this, man. Oh, I did it all without guides.
Nice. Was this because of before the age of the internet, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Radio.
Like back when you had to buy guides as a book.
Ah, yeah, the Primas, or whatever they were called.
Either that, or I remember when there was like a. I don't know what it was called. It was like a something genie. And it was like a extra thing that you plugged in.
Oh,
to your,
Game Genie.
Like Nintendo 64 cartridge. Game Genie, yeah.
Yeah. There's like Game.
Oh,
I know there's like
Game
Genie Shark or something like that. Like those are like ROM nonsense things.
Game Shark? No, is it Game Shark?
No, Game Shark is like ROM hacks nonsense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh. These are absolutely terrible. Like dragon things. Why was this given such a difficulty curve, honestly?
There was Game Genie, it was Game Shark, and Action Replay. Action Replay, oh man!
Oh, what was Action?
I just had the whole, oh, flashback, bro, what the hell?
Come on. There we go. I think that was... No, I got one more head. Why is the head still... Oh, and he's getting tails back even at the head. Oh, fuck's sake. This is gonna be painful to deal with. The fact that he has a head and he can regrow from the head.
I don't remember. I never watched Good Game.
Yeah. Oh, Good Game was good.
But I do remember in general, yeah.
What do you expect me to do when they get so small?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember just plugging the thing like into the bottom of your Nintendo, like the 64 controller, and you could like tweak particular things in the menu.
Yep. Game Shark in action.
And each game had like
that.
Yes. Crazy, right?
Yep. There we go.
There'd be things that like you would be able to have usually.
I got at least one of the dragons. Now I need to get the other one.
He's so cute. Yeah, give me that orb. Can I just like launch this at you instead? Oh, it just gives me another one.
Getting like... There.
So was Good Game John?
Good Game is it was from ABC. It's an Australian thing. You had Bajo and someone else, and amazingly enough, they've actually like brought them back or something. So like they've been doing like a sort of
Was it just like how they just talk about video games and like what's releasing and just give you video game news and stuff?
Exactly. Very much just that. Okay. This was definitely like a thing of like before YouTube was becoming established as like the, you know, the critique slash regurgitation sort of like segments. It was just before that, so. Where did you? Oh, you seriously went into the tunnel like straight after I just.
Game Labs.
Game
It's
Labs?
called X-Play. I can't remember what video it was, what program it was, but there was one where they talked about like Japan, and the way they were talking about Japan was like really xenophobic.
Yo, it out of the molten lava.
Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. They were just like, oh, what did Japan give us besides like sushi and something else, and then we bombed them, and then whatever. I was like,
oh, that is definitely an American take.
It was an American one. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was just like a program that was talking about video games.
So fucking rude.
It was crazy to hear. I was like, what?
Oh god. There are times I am not proud of having an American nationality. And it's not as easy as just being like, I'm Australian, because listen to this accent. It ain't. I'm not fooling.
You put it on.
I could not if I tried. Like, I have to...
You don't want to try for me?
Alright, here we go. I need a phrase. Oh yeah, mate. Like I don't laugh for Fosters. Oh fuck no, I'm fucking up already. I don't have like a sentence or a phrase I can go with. Like, hang on, maybe.
Oh, let's just go the classic. The shrimp on the Barbie.
Hey, can I have shrimp on Barbie? It feels so forced and like.
Close enough. It's just it does. And that sounded southern.
Yeah. It's like I feel like short of like doing like.
Hey darling, can I have a shrimp on the Barbie?
Hey darling, can I have a shrimp on the Barbie? Like, oh.
That's close enough.
Yeah, it's the accent. Like for me, it's
shrimp on a Barbie.
Shrimp on a Barbie. Barbie.
If you're trying to say
Barbie.
Like the good day thing, you say good, and then I like your
good day
eyeball, and then you say might, like I might go to the cinema later.
Good day, mate.
I might.
Pain.
Good day, mate.
Check not safe for work Discord. No, do not talk about the not safe for work Discord on the stream, please. I know I have it, but
not safe for dork.
Not safe for dork. All right, and then I am going to raid into because, quite frankly, those two dragons exhausted me, and I just want to get the
jerks.
Shit.
Yep.
All right,
just punch him in the head.
I was able to get the two dragons done, so I need to get into like the safe. I need to get to the wherever the fuck the egg went. There was an egg, and now there isn't.
Grant, they lowered my chair again.
Oh, that's all it does. Okay, I thought the egg was gonna like be elsewhere. Okay, no, I'm gonna head home. I'm gonna return to the home, and then just fuck off with this like ninja furnace world. Absolute terrible.
Ninja furnace world. I don't like that at all.
So I'm returning to Evening Lake.
I'm looking forward to that.
It was like. I'll see what the name is. So, the ice levels in here were not problematic. Oh my gosh, Hunter is doing something. Nope, Hunter funked up.
I'll spell eyes. E-S.
Eyes. So this was called Fireworks Factory. Nothing wrong with that one. Alrighty then. I am gonna call the stream there. That is gonna be it for me, because like I got work the next day. I'm sorry to say, and those dragons, like you know,
what's up, good man? What are you doing?
So what we're gonna do is,
hey, it's the cat that has stripes and needs stripes to blend in with his environment.
So unfortunately, the stream together I wish was working, but it didn't, which is really annoying. So to make it up for you guys, you are all gonna experience the second Spyro game, and you're gonna experience it through Gucci Feline, aka Kahlua, aka Stinky Lion. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna point to the right. Stinky. Point to the right. So, if you can join in with me in writing Stinky in the chat as we raid into Kahlua, I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, I will be back online Friday night for more Dragon Age Veilguard. I hope you'll join in with me for that one there. It should be pretty good. If not Friday night, then Saturday morning, I'm going to be going through Final Fantasy XIV for a little bit. I can't do too much because I'm meeting my dad for Gladiator 2 in the afternoon. He's taking me to see Gladiator, which is really great. I hope it's going to be a wonderful time. But otherwise, I want to say thank you everyone who came.
That's good.
Thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. Kahlua, sorry that the mic wasn't perfect and such. I'm sorry the fun impromptu stream together turned into just.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah, but hope you'll get raided shortly, and I hope some of my viewers remember there's a raid message to it. And hopefully we'll talk another time in the future, and I'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Very soon, bro. We need to go out and get some food again. We need to get boba tea.
Absolutely. Probably next year, because I'm on the shake diet for, like, a while, and I'll be on break for, like,